So come let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, So much of things that we need to see about. Surely I do have to spell them out. Cause you know as well as I do, the only way is put in more effort and less play. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production. Welcome to the Dynamic Hour, and specifically this segment, because for those who are viewing on Facebook and YouTube, you may not know the program will start at 8. It starts at 8. Then I will bring on Pastor Davis John. I will bring on Dr. Linton Andrews, and they will do their segment. And then I will bring in the folks on Facebook and YouTube, right? So that is something that you need to know. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to share the live. Sharing is caring. When you share the live, more of your friends will get the opportunity to be a part of the audience, to be a part of the conversation. I want to start off this morning by saying we have a government that we can trust. And not often do we find that in countries around the world, where a party will campaign saying, these are the things I will do once you elect me. And they will give you the manifesto, or they will give you some white paper listing what they will do, what they intend to do. And many of them, when they come into power, they do something totally different. Or they just don't do what they tell you they will do, and they will lie to you until the next election, and then they will make some more promises. You fall for it, you vote for them again and again and again. That is what they're accustomed to. In Grenada, we have a party who won the election and who formed the government. They made a number of promises and they are fulfilling them. They are delivering on them. They are, making Grenadians feel proud to know that they voted for these promises and they are seeing it come to life. They are realizing it. They are delivering on it. And that is very important, because a man's word should be his bond with you, that agreement with you, that commitment with you. I will do this, and I'm doing it. But you know something? Grenadians are accustomed to politicians lying for them. They're accustomed to a party during the campaign lying to get in, and when they get in, they just continue lying. They're accustomed to that. We're still waiting on the oil and gas. Public servants are still waiting on that party to live up to the MOU that they signed with them. You remember that? And a number of other things. But the NDC, during the campaign, said they would pay you the pension and the gratuity. They say even if they have to take a loan, they will pay the pension and they will pay the gratuity. You remember that? And they made it very clear. They're not going to pussyfoot or mama guy you. You will get your pension even if they have to take a loan.
The National Democratic Congress will pay the pensions to the prison officers, the police officers, the teachers, and the other public servants who've been denied their pensions over the last several decades. I've said repeatedly when asked again, including today, when I met with a foreign representative, how we intend to pay. I said we will use all of the means available to pay, including borrowing if we had.
Right, including borrowing if we have to. So that was the political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Deacon Mitchell. At the time, he was the political leader. So that was during campaign season. He said, even if they have to borrow, they will borrow to pay public officers their pension. All right? And then NDC was elected into office. But that was a promise made to the Grenadian people. When they came into power, they fulfilled that particular promise, right? Where they paid the pension, and we heard public officers made it very clear that they enjoy the gratuity, retired public officers, their gratuity, and their pension.
This administration must be given tremendous applause and
That's
appreciation for the
union
work they
leaders,
have done regarding the payment of the retroactive. Of course, we know about talks about pension reform, but we have ran the first leg and we have ran it well. And hundreds of people, in fact thousands, the whole of Grenada is happy for this because the retirees, they also have families and people are looking on. And I think it does a lot for social and economic justice in this country that the retroactive payment has been made.
It's a joyous occasion for me. It's like a dream come true. I feel it for those senior citizens who for years had to struggle. Some of them had to go through demeaning job that they would have left and had to find ways to survive. So it's really a good feeling for me. It's many prayers answered, and I commend the government for taking that bold initiative to pay the gratuity and pension.
Right. So the government fulfilled that promise. They paid $75.1 million in pension and gratuity. But folks, if the NNP had won the election, remember, they outlined the method of payment and how they would go about this whole pension stuff, Don't forget that, Some people believe that things are going so nice that, it would have been a bell of roses if NNP got in with the whole issue of pension, Remember what Keith Mitchell said regarding pension and the method?
The reinstatement of pension for public servants following a court ruling is estimated at $465 million as a one-off payment and an additional $120 million annually. However, Dr. Mitchell confidently said payments will begin later this year.
All entitled public officers appointed by the Public Service Commission who will retire in 2022.
Right. So, firstly, he was speaking to public officers who will retire in 2022, right? So, those who retired in 2022 and 2023. But the majority of people who actually the unions were fighting for to get their pension were people who retired way before that. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, who retired and was waiting for their pension. He actually spoke to that, but you need to listen to the end of that piece. So he spoke about 2022, 2023. That's a small amount of people, right? So listen carefully.
At the legally accepted retirement age of 60, will be paid their pension during this year, 2022.
So, folks, you have to understand the trick. It was for the people retiring in 2022. And he said, will be paid their pension. right? That's for those retiring in 2022. And firstly, he lied, in my belief, when he gave this figure, although it was approximately or about 465 million. The man actually said it may cost the country about 465 million to pay the pension and gratuity, and every year it would cost the government about $120 million. But we discovered that it cost the government only $75.1 million to pay the gratuity and pay the pension, and they continue to pay the pension every month for public officers. So that was a real slap in the face, in my belief. But that's the individual. But it's important for me to play that for you too, so you could understand what it would have been like under the NNP.
Budget is being presented for 2023. At the end of 2022, those public servants that will retire in 2023, the pension payment will be in the budget document that we will bring forth for that year. So those in 2023 will also be paid their payment, sisters and brothers. As regards to the pensions that are outstanding and are due to those who retired long before this year, we will have a phased approach for payment consistent with the national cash flow, and that will be announced shortly.
Right. So it's important that you understand what it would have been like under NNP. Eh? So the whole issue of pension, the man said if you were retiring in 2022, you would have gotten your pension. If you were retiring in 2023, you would have gotten your pension. All right? But the people, the majority of people who were fighting for the pension and the gratuity and everything like that, they were actually people who retired before 2022. So 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, all the way to 2013, because I think they started the whole process in 2013. So from that point, come all the way up. That's the people the majority of people who wanted the money, who were fighting for the money. So if the NNP had won the election, the few people who retired in 2022, the few people who retired in 2023, they would have gotten their pension. But the people who retired before that, the majority of people, the hundreds of people, they would have had real problems to get their pension. They would have had to fight tooth and nail to get their money. They would have been in the street protesting and fighting for their money still. So while we enjoy this calm, this peace, because, all public officers who are owed their pension and gratuity, they got their money. But that is under NDC. It would have been a different ball game under NNP. It is so important because some people, they get caught up. The thing's so nice. The thing happens so easily. But because NDC is in power, if NNP was in power, you would have had a problem. A serious problem too. You remember the same Keith Mitchell took public officers down to the Trade Center, and the man had all kind of things to say. The man started talking and making you believe that, boy, the economy go crash if pension and gratuity is paid.
According to Dr. Mitchell, the payment of pension to workers will require government to source an additional estimated $400 million.
While these fiscal obligations of the court ruling are still being tabulated, preliminary indication, and these are just preliminary numbers, are that we will have to find at least $465 million. Sisters and brothers, take that in. $465 million. That's not all. And then on average, we'd have to find $120 more million each year for at least the next 37 years. And that figure is without considering inflation. 37 years, Keith Mitchell will not be there. Just get it. It's not a Keith Mitchell issue here. All are we. The fiscal impact of the court ruling will be dominated by benefit obligation to...
Yeah, this guy is a pathological liar. All right? He's a pathological liar. This guy is dangerous. He's a statistician, a mathematician. But here it is. Preliminary estimates, you know. Look at the gap. 465 million, you know. He made these people frightened. The fear factor. He brought these senior public servants and so on in the trade center, and he scared them to hell about this whole pension and gratuity stuff. Right? And then he went on to say every year, 100, it would cost the government about 120 million or so to pay the pension every year to public officers. And then he said, look, that's preliminary estimates, you know. He said, take that in. This guy is dangerous. But just imagine what it would have been like under Keith Mitchell and NNP if they had won the election. But you know, there are some people who forget that. And as though they want to go back under that dark period, they want to go back under that to fight for everything that is rightfully theirs. It is sickening to say the least. But I'm playing all of this so you could kind of wrap your mind around what it would have been like under NNP versus the NDC now. Look at how the pension and gratuity was paid so easily. $75.1 million so easily. Not 465 million or 120 million every year. No. No. But I tell you, it is important to refresh the memories of our people. But you have a government that you can trust, a government who told you during the campaign, this is what I will do. And they have done it. They have delivered on it. Remember, they spoke about the bi-monthly salary payments? They spoke about the bi-monthly salary payments and they said, look, we will pay you your bi-monthly salary. Don't forget that. They made it very clear, twice monthly, they're going to pay you the salary. But boy, oh boy, I remember the same Keith Mitchell saying a couple of years ago, it was not feasible, it was not possible. You know, what's to that effect? It is just amazing. It's just amazing. But the NDC delivered on that. The NDC delivered on the bi-monthly salary payments. They did not just tell you they will pay, but they delivered on it. And I want to commend them for that. Because, you know, there are people who can easily lie to you.
Plans to pay bi-monthly personal emoluments from the middle of this month are on track. Following the June 2022 general election and the presentation of the 2023 budget, Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team began the process to implement the measure. Consultations began in February with union representatives.
Right. So I wanted another piece where the most honorable Deacon Mitchell was actually making the promise, right? That piece I wanted, making the actual promise to pay public officers twice per month. I want that piece because it's important to show you that it's a government that you can trust. It's a party that you can trust. So let me look for that piece to play for you because I'm bringing the evidence on the table. We are accustomed to NNP campaigning and lying for the Grenadian people. They go do X and do Y when they come into government, do what, and then they come back and they lie again the next election. But this time you can hold this government and party accountable.
Listing a number of challenges that can be made easier for employees, political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Deacon Mitchell, says his party plans to change the payment schedule to twice a month. This he hopes to achieve within the first 100 days if his party is elected into office.
Many of our employees, many of our workers, because of cash flow problems, are required to borrow consumer loans at excessively high interest rates of 14 and 16%, which puts them in a debt trap cycle that they are unable to come out of. And many instances, it is simply because of their inability to manage the cash flow because they are paid once a month.
But the bills aren't always once a month. The bills are sometimes in the middle of the month. And we want to give our workers the opportunity to better manage the cash flow and to remove themselves from that type of debt trap by ensuring that they are paid twice a month.
Right. So that was the political leader of the National Democratic Congress campaigning, right? That was before the election, making the promise that public officers will be paid twice per month, right? Twice per month. And NDC won the election. NDC won the election, and they delivered on the bi-monthly salary payments, and workers were extremely happy. Yeah.
Bi-monthly payments are easier in terms of my responsibility in terms of paying bills, because I can divide and have better management in terms of I pay the bill. I don't have to wait until the month to pay everything one time. Basically, it is divided in two. So it's as simple as that. If you have $1,000 to pay in bills, you pay $500 the first week, you pay $500 the second week. It is simple in terms of maths, where it is not $1,000 upfront. If you understand what I'm saying, it's as simple. So if you manage yourself properly, it is manageable, and you pay one bill, you pay the other bill, and you have other things to do. So it works out perfect, actually. It is a good idea because I've been in the system for a while now. It also takes discipline on the person, because no matter if you get money every week, every 2 weeks or whatever, you have to manage yourself and make sure that you pay your bills on time, and you make sure you have that payment there. So it's all about scheduling or whatever, but with the money coming every 2 weeks, you have a money coming in.
So with the bi-monthly payments, I believe that they benefit those workers who have financial obligations somewhat towards the beginning or the middle of the month. It gives them ample time to get those obligations out of the way and then enjoy the rest of the paycheck that they receive at the end of the month.
And you personally?
And so for me personally, because I have, my daughter's daycare to pay, as well as rent and bills and many other financial obligations pertaining to my daughter, also including medication, which I do have to refill every 2 weeks, this payment gives me a chance to not have to save in bulk, but I can simply just get the medication every other week with my salary.
So how welcoming is the bi-monthly payment for you?
I welcome the bi-monthly payments with open arms, as it benefits myself and many other individuals.
Right. So bi-monthly salary was delivered. That's a government you can trust, a party you can trust. They say they will do this, and when they come into power, they delivered on it. It's not no, monkey trick, mama gism, or papi show. No. They told you they would pay pension. They came into power, they paid pension. They told you they would pay bi-monthly salary or twice per month salary. They did that. But remember, the same Keith Mitchell said it was not feasible at the time. Same Keith Mitchell. And then he went on some MTV interview and he made certain pronouncements about it. Administrative this, administrative that.
Well, I strongly advise against it, because we had looked at it and realized it could be more problem than I see no I don't see the value. It can in fact provide enormous administrative problems for the staff and the service as a whole, and over the country, because you have to understand people are used to this monthly salaries. What happened was, when the thing was officially advanced recently, because don't forget that came on before, and we looked at it and realized there were no real advantages for this.
According to Dr. Mitchell, it will call for significant adjustments by individuals, including by financial institutions, and he is not satisfied that people are prepared to make the necessary changes.
All right, so we don't want to hear more about Keith Mitchell there. People made the necessary changes. The financial institutions, they made the necessary changes, and bi-monthly salary is here to stay. All right, so Keith Mitchell was wrong, and the NDC was right. The NDC made the promise during the election campaign, and they fulfill it. The NDC has vision. The NDC is not just talking, but they are doing. And you know, Keith Mitchell is the old, NDC is the new. Keith Mitchell is the old, Deacon Mitchell is the new. And it's very clear. Keith Mitchell is analog, Deacon Mitchell is smart TV. Keith Mitchell is analog TV, Deacon Mitchell is smart TV. Keith Mitchell is a BlackBerry phone, Deacon Mitchell is a smartphone. Smart, you know, it's kind of clear cut, right? Keith Mitchell is a kind of manual vehicle. Deacon Mitchell is automatic. You know, he can, in other words, the modern and the old. You realize that Keith Mitchell doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the foresight. Deacon Mitchell is a visionary and he has the foresight. So it's very clear. You could make the comparison. So by monthly salary, that was delivered. And again, it's a government you can trust, a government you can believe in. That is very, very important. A government you can believe in. Because, you know, normally when you talk about party campaigning, they campaign and they lie for you. They tell you all kind of stuff, right? But the NDC is different. The NDC is different. Tell you they're going to regularize workers, and they regularize the workers. They started the process. Remember, the NDC cannot fulfill everything in 2 years, but at least they started the process to fulfill their promises. They have 3 more years and months to fulfill their promises. Huh? But they have started the process, and that is why people have confidence in them. The regularization of workers is a big thing, a very big thing.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. Cabinet Secretary, good morning. Thank you for coming. Members of the Grenada Union of Teachers Union who are present, good morning. President, I see also Grenada Manual Maritime Intellectual Workers Union representative present, good morning, and thank you for coming. I want to start by reiterating the government's commitment to taking on what is undoubtedly a complex and difficult task. It is easy to run away from things that you didn't create. And clearly, we've inherited the situation, and as so ably contextualized by P.S. Marshall, this goes back at the earliest to 2013. As a nation, we entered a structural adjustment program. Significant sacrifices were made by the nation as a whole. Our fiscal situation was in a bad shape, and policy decisions were taken at the time, particularly fiscal ones, that we still live with today. I don't know that the structural adjustment period has ever ended. I knew it started, and I've never heard of an official end. The taxes have largely remained intact, and to a large extent, when it comes to the public service, the varying methodologies and modalities of work continue. We promised that this was something we were going to tackle. I want to compliment P.S. Marshall and our team for the tremendous work that they've done. I think the quality of the presentation this morning, I think, is testimony to that. It's systematic, it's strategic, and it's also realistic, because we must accept, as PS indicated, the government isn't going to simply be able to employ every person. We have to be practical. We have to make sure that our productivity is also, and our customer service is also significantly improved. Because as I said at the forum yesterday, if we perhaps do a survey of ourselves and ask the public what they think of our service levels, I kind of have the feeling I know the answer, and I'm not so sure it will be a positive one. So I think we also owe it to the public to ensure that we raise our productivity, we raise our service standards, to make sure that internally we are happy and optimistic group, but that also externally people view us in a happy and optimistic way, and that they want to actually come to the public service to get the service that they deserve. This obviously is going to be rolled out over a period of time. There's a lot of work we have to undertake to make this successful, and I'm emphasizing we, because the government, without partnership from the unions, without partnership from the employees who are impacted, without partnership from the public, without partnership from the government as a whole, will not be able to make this a success.
Was the most honorable Deacon Mitchell there speaking to the regularization of workers. So the government started the process of regularizing workers. We heard from the Public Workers Union, right? They came out stating, well, look, it's a plus. It's a plus for them. and they are happy about it. They're happy about it. But remember, that was a campaign promise that the NDC made.
Prime Minister Mitchell is sticking to his party's promise during the campaign that they will address the regularization of employees within the public service. The Prime Minister continued his series of ministerial visits yesterday with a visit to the staff of the Ministry of Finance, a major portfolio under the Prime Minister's leadership. During a brief discussion with staff, Prime Minister Mitchell highlighted areas of importance that he plans to address in short order. These include greater use of technology in government business with the goal of going paperless and the regularization of the staff in the next 12 to 18 months. Prime Minister Mitchell said the government does not possess a magic wand to fix all issues, and he highlighted the need for all workers to give 100% in the performance of their duties, as increased productivity will ensure successful output and alignment with government's priorities. Mitchell was forceful during his political party's campaign when addressing the issue of job security. He informed those employed in the public service that they have no need to be fearful of their jobs. He did warn that under his administration, employment will be awarded based on merit.
Ahead of us in the coming days, including the appointment of a cabinet, we will seek to swiftly do so. Naturally, there will be changes that will be made at some government levels. We will seek to do so in a transparent and open manner. The key criteria will be merit. We will not move forward or prosper as a people if the sole basis for job selection, for promotion, for the award of contracts is party loyalty or personal loyalty.
Right. So again, our Prime Minister was very, very clear. Very, very clear. We will regularize the workers, and we saw that happening right before our very eyes. You see, it was not just a talk. We saw the regularization of workers. And I think the Public Workers Union, I think they spoke on that, I was looking around for a piece on that because I remember they were on GBN, I think, something like that. I think they were on GBN, and they commended the government where that is concerned.
We understand that about 300 workers will be regularized in terms of by Christmas, right? And when we speak about regularization in that context, it may not be like a contract worker becoming permanent, but it will be in the context of a public service commission worker acting in a position, being confirmed in that position. So with our bargaining unit, there are different layers. So they are doing the easy regularization, people who act in a higher position and you confirm them and things of that nature. So yes, that is a positive. Another positive is that, and this is something the union has been pushing for a long time, the years that were temporary or unregularized, that's for people who are contract and will now become part of the PSC on the establishment, that will be considered for pensionable purposes. Right? So they don't throw away the years. So if you're working 10 years temporary and then they regularize you now, they're not going to start you from year one to say, well, all the 10 years can't count for pension because you have to make a certain amount of years to be pensionable. So those will be counted, and this is something we have been pushing, and we got confirmation from officials that those years will be counted. Where we having an issue is how it's being done, because normally if you make someone permanent and you regularize them, you go back a little retroactive.
Yeah, well, greedy. You always find that. The union, you heard the individual there, so he praised government, thank them for this and thank them for that. But he's saying, well, even if they're making them permanent retroactively, as though they just come to work 10 years ago and they get in to be permanent, still compensate them and give them more money, right? And the government only recently gave 13% increase in salaries and all the fringe benefits, and somebody still want more. Just greed. Say, well, compensate them because they should have been given that all the many, many, many years, as though government is printing money. But, we get over that. We move from there. The fact that the government delivered on the regularization of workers, because remember, under NNP, and you have to put your frame of mind where it's supposed to be. Under the NNP, if the NNP was in power, it would have just been contract. Nothing about regularization. That whole thing about regularization would have never be on the table. In fact, the unions will still be marching in the streets. The whole issue of regularization is NDC, who said, look, we're going to regularize the workers and make them permanent. NNP would not have done that. So if NNP was in power, it would have just been contract, no regularization. And people would have been just acting as though they were in Hollywood. So the NDC is a government that you can trust, but just wrap your mind around what it would have been like, NNP versus NDC. That's so important. Very, very important. All right? You have NDC coming in, and instead of all the march and all the protests, they just paid the increase. Under NNP, it used to be marching, protesting, fighting for every single thing.
I am very happy that the government negotiating team, and by extension the government and the Public Workers Union, have been able to reach agreement to quote the Labour Commissioner on their own terms. The Public Workers Union represents the single largest group of employees who work for the state of Grenada, and so it is obviously quite important to ensure that we have common understanding on fringe benefits, salaries, prospectively and not retrospectively, because I think it allows for predictability, certainty, and it allows us to tackle some of the other very challenging issues that remain to be tackled. And I think if we can show that we can agree on salaries and fringe benefits without having somebody clobbering us together to get there, it probably, I think, also signals that we can work together to address some of the other challenges that no doubt still remain outstanding. So
yeah, and look, our beloved Prime Minister is correct where that is concerned. So you were speaking there with the whole increase in salaries and, all the signing and so on. Look, they were extremely happy because normally they had to go on the streets and march and protest and do all kind of stuff to get the liquor money. All right, that is what it used to be under NNP, but things were different this time around.
The government of Grenada has signed an agreement with the Royal Grenada Police Force and the Bank and General Workers Union for fringe benefits and salary increases for January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2025. Labour Commissioner Mrs. Parker Grenade Courtney ratified a collective agreement with the RGPF's negotiating team for fringe benefits in the second round of negotiation. The RGPF negotiating team is an amalgamation of associations representing police officers within the Gazetted Officers Association and the Police Welfare Association.
Right, so they got paid, right? And all the increases and all the fringe benefits, the police, the prison officers, public servants, all of them. Under NNP, they had to go in the streets, meaning public servants, well, the police and so on, they wouldn't go in the streets. But the public officers and teachers and all of them, they had to go in the streets and protest and fight for the liquor kakada, money that was, rightfully theirs, their money. They had to go there and fight for it and demonstrate for it and all kind of stuff. Remember, the NDC made the promise of regularizing public officers. That was a promise made.
In the campaign, one of the promises made by the now administration was the review and increase of minimum wages in Grenada, which, although required by law to be reviewed every 3 years, was not reviewed since 2011. And keeping good and true to that promise, we did constitute the Wages Advisory Committee, and they, I am happy to report to this House and to the nation, have submitted to the Cabinet the final report, which will be shared with the public shortly in further consultations that have been directed to be commenced by the Cabinet.
Right. So the minimum wage order, they had consultations and engaged nearly everybody. And the minimum wage order is now in full effect. Uh, the lower paid workers, they are now getting more. In fact, this morning I was reading a message that was sent to me by a cook, right? A cook at a school. She said, hey, I started to work with the government for, a number of years, and I was on contract as the head cook of a school. Do you know that the government was able to increase my salary? And I'm grateful for that. God bless the NDC. All right. So that person sent me that message there that, the cooks, remember the cooks, a number of them who were clamoring for an increase because of the minimum wage order, security officers, cooks, cleaners, housekeepers, those in Indian stores, Syrians, so just name it. Their salaries all went up. I just hope that these people are grateful and that they will remember what the NDC did for them, right? Because all people are quick to forget the good things that people do for them, but ungratefulness is worse than obia. Ungratefulness is worse than obia. Remember, the NDC also spoke about in their campaign, it was in the manifesto of the NDC. I saw the Honorable Andy Williams putting that page up in the manifesto of the NDC during the campaign. They said they will make tuition free for TAMCC students and NULO. And they did that.
The government of Grenada will officially launch its free tuition program on Monday, September 4th. The launch will take place at the Grenada Trade Center from 2:30 p.m. and will be broadcast live on the Government Information Service. The free tuition policy has been approved by Cabinet for students attending T.A. Marshall Community College and the New Life organization. Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday, Minister for Education, Senator the Honorable David Andrew, said the free tuition policy will also be extended to the 3-year pharmacology program at TAMCC. Senator Andrew clarified that although tuition will be absorbed by the government, students will still pay for ID cards, registration, and other deliverables. He said his government has allocated $2.5 million towards the free tuition policy.
This policy is one where the government will pay the tuition fees associated with study at TAMCC or NULO, right, or any other approved center in time. And so we know that the $810 annual fee that was payable at the T.A. Marshall Community College, that fee will be absorbed through this government's free tuition policy. Further, that same fee will be applied to persons pursuing studies at NULO. So I know it will cover the tuition part of NULO fees, but it will be an excess that will be applied to some of the other fees. So we want to make it clear, we are not saying there are no other fees. You may have to pay registration fees, you may have to pay T-shirts and other deliverables that you may get, the identification badge. We're not interfering with that at this point.
Right, so the NDC delivered on that, the free tuition for TAMCC students and NULO. In other words, the NDC is a party that you can trust and a government that you can really believe in. When they tell you they're going to do something, they're going to do something. And remember, they have the next 3 years and months to fulfill the other promises. There are quite a number of promises that they have already fulfilled. And I just play some to give you, that idea, right? Or to kind of refresh your memory. To say, hey, they can be trusted. They can be trusted. All right. And, to all the folks out there, the ladies, I want to say, hi, babes. How you doing? Hi, sweetie. How you doing? There are some people they vex if you call them babes and sweetie, they they angry. All right. But one thing they can't see, Kim Jones never, ever go down that road. You see the point? Yeah, let them stay and take it. They can't take it. The reality. Hi, babes. Hi, sweetie. Yeah. They can't deal with it. At the end of the day, let them stay there and breathe and bomb they gum. Right? And as I did yesterday or last night, the story, right? The real story. You know, some people is so dumb out here that you wonder. All right. If somebody send you a message, hi babes, hi sweetie, how you doing today? Oh, you you vexed about that? What's wrong with you? Calm yourself and listen to that story.
The donkey told the tiger, "The grass is blue." The tiger replied, "No, the grass is green." The discussion became heated, and the two decided to submit the issue to arbitration, and to do so they approached the lion. Before reaching the clearing in the forest where the lion was sitting on his throne, the donkey started screaming, "Your Highness, isn't it true that the grass is blue?" The lion replied, "True, the grass is blue." The donkey rushed forward and continued, "The tiger disagrees with me and contradicts me and annoys me. Please punish him." The king then declared, "The tiger will be punished with 5 years of silence." The donkey jumped with joy and went on his way, content and repeating, "The grass is blue." The tiger accepted his punishment, but he asked the lion, "Your Majesty, why have you punished me? After all, the grass is green." The lion replied, "In fact, the grass is green." The tiger asked, "So why do you punish me?" The lion replied, "That has nothing to do with the question of whether the grass is blue or green. The punishment is because it is not possible for a brave, intelligent creature like you to waste time arguing with a donkey, and on top of that to come and bother me with that question. The worst waste of time is arguing with the fool and fanatic who doesn't care about truth or reality, but only the victory of his beliefs and illusions. Never waste time on discussions that make no sense. There are people who, for all the evidence presented to them, do not have the ability to understand, and others who are blinded by ego, hatred and resentment, and the only thing that they want is to be right even if they aren't. When ignorance screams, intelligence shuts up. Your peace and tranquility are worth more."
Yes. So bye, babes, and bye, sweetie. Have a wonderful day. These people are, way too funny, Bye, babes, and bye, sweetie. Have a nice day. Oh, gum. Are you sick here? Go through all your message. Hi, babes. Bye, babes. Good morning. How you doing? You're stupid, yeah? Have a nice day. Bite up yourself and eat up yourself. Folks, I'll be back with you tonight in the hub, starting from 8.